The Champions Cup, a tournament so delicate in the region. Many teams from all over America, Mexico, and Central America. A tournament to keep people away during these troubling times without ItzJason on yeahhhh. A competition where MLS sides also like to get obliterated from Mexican and Central American giants. But recently, it's been different. Sounders 2022, LAFC 2023, and Columbus Crew 2024. All in this year's competition. From the fierce Mexican giants to rising stars from the US, Costa Rica, and beyond, who will claim the crown and secure their place in history this year?
Probably going to be another MLS or Liga MX champion, let's be honest.
Welcome to the 2025 CONCACAF Champions Cup.
Hey, how's it going? It's been quite a while since I last posted, so I thought what better way to come back than doing a CONCACAF Champions Cup video. We first have Rayados versus Forge, and honestly, pretty easy matchup for Rayados. I mean, Forge, to be honest, only had opportunities in the first leg when they were at home. So, and then the goals came in the second half from Rayados, and after that, it kind of just seemed inevitable for Forge. I feel bad for Forge because every time they're in this competition, they always have a Liga MX team. You saw it with this year with Rayados, last year with Chivas, and then a couple years ago, I'm pretty sure Cruz Azul they were up against. So, RIP Forge. Cruz Azul versus Real Hope. Honestly, pretty easy matchup again. I mean, it kind of just makes me wonder why like the format is like where there's some Caribbean sides that just go automatically to round 16 because some of them are just not good. I also like to add more salt on the wound of just like how did Austin FC lose to, what was that team again? I actually can't remember.
With a deflection, Cherry!
The only problems that most teams have is just like when they're away and they're in the Caribbean, and that's sort of the thing that happened to Cruz Azul. They were getting knocked on, their doors were getting knocked on by Real Hope, but ultimately they got over the hump and they started scoring. And then they went to Mexico City and blew away Real Hope 5-0. Yeah, goals from Montaño in the 60th minute and Fernandez in the 26th and 75th minute, so pretty comfortable. I feel really bad for these teams, but this competition is just MLS versus Liga MX type of thing. I saw Saudi Arabia sponsoring like the tournament recently, so if Saudi Arabia is watching this, you know what, you should send some of your pocket change to these clubs because they probably need it more than the Saudi Pro League. Chivas versus Kibao. I mean, are you even surprised? Now, I'm sure we all agree that Tigres is probably the Saudi league of this region's competition. I mean, they have unlimited money, they have so much talent, but I swear to God, I've only probably met a speck of air. They're in this competition once again, and they're up against Real Esteli, and I mean, Real Esteli, I mean, they're coming off of a campaign last year where they almost knocked out Club America. So, I mean, it's kind of tough to go into, pretty sure they're from Nicaragua, but yeah, just going there and try to get a result. So, they're a good team, so don't sleep on these guys. Tigres, Medina has the ball, and he gives it to Francisco Gal, who puts it in. It's 1-0. Real Esteli, they're actually leading. World is at peace. We are actually getting closer to ending world hunger. Guys, like and subscribe. And that's how the game ends. 1-0 Real Esteli. They have the advantage going into Monterrey next week. So I actually cannot wait. Like, please, please, please do not spill the result.
You're early on! And still loose, and it's buried!
Oh, why must the gods be like this? I hate this tournament so much.
Cavalry versus Pumas UNAM was probably an interesting matchup that Loki was slept on. I actually enjoyed it. Murzuski made an absolute brilliant goal in the 80th minute, and to come back like that against Pumas, it was going to be an interesting matchup to go into Mexico City, but unfortunately, you can only do so much, to be honest, and I actually feel so bad for these guys. I actually wanted these guys to move on. Cavalry was putting on everything in the line, and the goalkeeper was a brick wall. I mean, he wouldn't let anything go past him. The defense was also a pivotal role, but unfortunately, you can only do so much, and Jay Herdman made a clumsy challenge. I mean, when you're in an environment like this, and when you're trying so hard to stay alive because Pumas is coming at you, the last thing you need to do is make a challenge like that. Unfortunately, that's what happened to Jay Herdman. He made a clumsy challenge. He got a straight red. And that was a penalty awarded to Pumas. And fortunate enough for Calvary, goalkeeper stops it. And it's almost like a miracle was about to happen. That wasn't until the 53rd minute where Guillermo Martinez scores a header, and at that point you can just feel the shock wave. You could already tell now that Calvary needed to chase the game, and I just didn't feel like they were gonna do that. I felt like they didn't have the quality to do it in them, and they were down a man too. Yes, they did have a couple opportunities, but I just felt like they weren't good opportunities. They were just decent opportunities. It's just the lack of quality that they didn't have, and they lost a man too. This is an environment that they've never been into, like in Mexico City, by the way, with the high elevation, with a crowd like that in Pumas. So it almost just seemed, it just looked like it was the fall of their demise, just once the red card happened, and then Guillermo Martinez made the goal in the 53rd minute. So, and then in the 73rd minute too, like they should have done a better job just stopping him. Honestly, he had so much time and room to just make a goal like that. So yeah, I feel bad for those guys. And even though like they still lost, like the fact that a Canadian Premier League team was able to beat a Liga MX side at home just shows the growth that that league is going through. So MLS, watch out. I mean, you already got the USL going, doing their own thing. Now you got this going on too. MLS got some competition. So at this time of this recording, the second leg of the MLS side of the bracket hasn't been played, but we'll just quickly look over at the first leg, which the first one was Colorado versus LAFC. LAFC looking, both of these teams just looking like the respective teams just playing their first game of the season. I mean, caught lacking for both sides, giveaways, and just sluggish. But I swear, every time I'm talking about Mihailovic, it's always just him balling up in this competition. You saw it with Montreal a couple years ago, and now with this. I mean, what a free kick against LAFC. And then LAFC, yes, they did get a goal back from Erlang, but I mean, I definitely felt like the cold played a big role in Colorado. So I don't know. Hopefully we actually make it. I'm an LAFC fan, by the way, so I actually do want to make it. I actually do want to make it back to the final and actually win it this time, because 2 appearances, 2 finals, and not winning it, I actually hate it. Herrerano went up against Real Salt Lake and ended up being a 0-0 draw. I have to be honest with you, I didn't watch this game because I had things going on, but I'm kind of lucky. 0-0, and these just sound like the worst, like mid-table teams. Herrerano and Real Salt Lake. And then for the Seattle Sounders, they went all the way to Guatemala to go up against Antigua. And man, look at those jerseys. Those jerseys looking fire. I mean, I feel like the Sounders never miss with their jerseys. I mean, it's been quite a while when I just remember just saying, man, that's plain. Recently, I've been calling the Sounders like FC Dallas Jr. because they got Areola and Jesus Ferreira the same window. But those guys linked up in the first 3 minutes with Paul Areola getting the goal. And then De La Vega got into there, and yeah, ended up being a 3-1 win with the Sounders beating Antigua. And even though the Sounders were living luscious lives in Guatemala, Sporting Kansas City and Inter Miami couldn't be said the same. But look at Messi, man. Actually looks cold with that like fit on, but they went up against Sporting Kansas City, and honestly, it was mostly just Inter Miami trying to finish, but I don't know. Like, I saw them in preseason, I thought, man, this is going to be an explosive team. But then I saw this game, and I just, like, felt just kind of forgettable. But, I don't know. Give credit to the Sporting Kansas City, because they fought and they actually played their heart out. I mean, there were some moments where Shallowy was really close to tying it up or taking the lead. So, yeah, and unfortunately, Inter Miami has a guy that Father Time cannot catch up. And as Lionel Messi, what an assist by Busquets, vintage Barcelona type of assist to give it to Messi and puts it in a way nice and easy. And that's how the game ends, 1-0. Motagua versus Cincinnati. Cincinnati going all the way to Honduras. Is that where Motagua is? Correct me if I'm wrong, editor Jason. But yeah, it was kind of a slow start for Cincinnati, and Motagua did tie it up in between the game, but unfortunately, Cincinnati's like new signings are low-key a bop. Like, they got Envendor and then they got Denki, and both of those guys played a pivotal role in this game. Each of them scoring their first goals for FC Cincinnati, and ended up being a 4-1 win for FC Cincinnati. So they really boosted up their defense last year, and now this year they're boosted up their offense. Don't sleep on these guys in FC Cincinnati. They're gonna definitely make it far in this tournament, and they're definitely gonna go for that supporter shield this season in MLS. Finally, we had Deportivo Saprissa against Vancouver Whitecaps. The Whitecaps, honestly, just being the most weakest team out of the bunch of MLS teams this year. Honestly, I'm pretty sure they're only here because of the Canadian Championship, because Toronto loves to drop the ball every time. I am throwing shade, but let's not forget they were a good side last season towards the end. So, and then with this one, they actually scored first with Ryan Gold in the 21st minute. But after that, I mean, Torres gets a goal in the 51st minutes out of nowhere. And then after that, the crowd started getting back into the game, and Vancouver just never really looked back at that. I mean, they had one good chance that should have been put in, but yeah, I mean, the crowd was getting back into the game, and so was Saprissa. And then towards the end, you could just see Vancouver just hanging on for dear life. But unfortunately, 5th minute of stoppage time at the end, Rodriguez scores, and Saprissa has the advantage going into Vancouver next week. So I don't know, will they make it? I don't think so. I think Vancouver can get the job done in Vancouver.
1 week later.
Hi guys, and welcome to next week. So, let's go ahead and talk about the second leg with the MLS side of the bracket.
Declared war on Idaho.
I know, I'm playing as Idaho.
What?
Did you not realize I was allies with most of the West Coast? That was literally the worst move you could have possibly made. I'm about to send everyone to it.
Which the first one, which the Colorado Rapids against LAFC. Pretty even from both sides. I mean, Navarro with the close chance in the 18th minute. And then Delgado, he was the breakthrough for LAFC as he scored his first LAFC goal in the 49th minute. And what an assist from David Martinez. It's just like what I said with the LAFC, the Road to Glory video. It's just, now that Bogusz and Christian Oliveira are gone, there's definitely going to be more opportunities for Nathan Ordaz and David Martinez. And what an assist by David Martinez. I think he played really well tonight, and also Nathan Ortez. So I'm definitely looking forward to the growth that those guys are going to have, and definitely be on the lookout for those guys on the transfer market. To add on what I just said, I mean, Ordaz also just scored in the 73rd minute, but unfortunately it was called for offside. So yeah, I mean, good chances, and it was basically all LAFC from after that goal until basically the last 15 minutes. Until that, it was pretty much just LAFC sitting back, holding on for just that 1-0 win, because if they win 1-0, then they would go and move on because of the away goals. So that's basically what happened. LAFC moved on, 2-2 on aggregate, but LAFC with the away goals move on. Inter Miami versus Sporting Kansas City. Inter Miami, I mean, they just got the job done at Chase Stadium. Goals from Lionel Messi, Allende, and what an assist from Jordi Alba in that second goal. Oh, the run that he did. And what a great goal as well, with Lionel Messi, the little volley too. Oh, but even though Sporting Kansas City pulled one back, still wasn't enough for the Lionel Messi FC club. So yeah, 3-1, 4-1 on aggregate. Inter Miami move on. Now, there was a little scare in the 9th minute where Uzmendi scored, and then it was 4-2 on aggregate, but Denki with the goal in the 19th minute just put it away, and that basically just sealed it from there. So no goals from that. No goals after that.
Herbalife is accepting applications for their affordable grow-up plan. The grow-up.
Now we get to the juicy part, which is Real Salt Lake versus Hererano. Now, I thought this game was going to be very boring. Two mid-level table teams. But the second leg actually was interesting, unlike the first one where I didn't even watch that. I actually do not remember that. But anyways, it seemed like it was just going to be the inevitable. It was just going to be a usual MLS win. Jago? How do you say his name? I'm looking at it right now. Just put it up on the screen, please. He scores after the game was basically even from both sides, and that was still like that. But all of a sudden, Bravo from Hererano scores from the tightest angles. It was a great goal. And unfortunately, it was called offside. But after that, you can just see that Hererano were growing into the game more, and they finally let out the breakthrough with Aguilar in the 70th minutes. Just shaky defense from Real Salt Lake. I mean, you can see it with the Bravo goal too. They were so stretched out, and it was just a mess of a back line, especially with that Aguilar goal. Like, they should have done a better job. And now Real Salt Lake were taking the game, and they just couldn't finish. I mean, the amount of times I was just scratching my eyeballs, just scratching and just face palming my face, just wondering why did they sell Chicha Arango if they can't even finish a simple freaking. And then there was a penalty from Hererano in the 9th minute of stoppage time that was scored. 2-1 against Real Salt Lake and Hererano. I mean, big up to Hererano. I mean, I'm pretty sure this is the same team that literally defeated Toluca last year in the first round, or it might have been round 16. I can't remember. So these guys, you never want to sleep on these guys. These are actually tough opponents. So yeah, and I mean, just for Real Salt Lake, I mean, I thought Vancouver was going to be the weakest team, but Real Salt Lake was probably a big one for the money. I actually just did not find anything interesting about them in this campaign. Seattle Sounders versus Antigua. Now, pretty much an easy win for the Seattle Sounders. Two goals from De La Vega, who I'm actually looking forward to this year. I mean, kind of struggled, sort of, had moments last year, but this one, he actually looks like he's making a breakthrough, so should be interesting watching him. Antigua did score in the first minute of stoppage time. Now, VAR did look at it and thought it was going to be an offside, but after a check, it was called in. So it was 1-1 until De La Vega scored, and Areola as well. So big up FC Dallas Jr. I'm proud of you guys. Hi guys, it's Jason. Today we're going to be doing predictions, but in 30 seconds, or even more. Somewhere in there. So, Columbus versus LAFC. I'm going with Columbus. LAFC's trash right now. Cavalier versus Miami. Guess we're going with Miami for the thick of it. Rayados versus Vancouver. Obviously Rayados. If you think Vancouver, you're crazy. Alajuelense Pumas. It's gonna be a close one, but I'm going with Pumas. Pumas just look like a better team. America and Chivas. America. Chivas are actually like bad right now in the league. Cruz Azul Seattle. It's gonna be a good matchup, but I'm gonna go with Seattle. Seattle just look like a good team. Tigres Cincinnati. Another good game that I'm looking forward to. I'm gonna go with Cincinnati. I don't know. I don't really like Tigres. Like, they've been really poor away. It's just like the home matches are helping them. I don't know. As much money as they have, I feel like they just don't have that. Like, they're not as scary as they used to be. Galaxy Hererano. I'm gonna go with the Galaxy. They just look better, but don't be surprised if the Galaxy somehow find a way to just blow the lead. Anyways, guys, that's been your boy Jason with the predictions and also this video. Please like and subscribe, and I'm leaving now.